It's been announced that Dillian Whyte Anthony Joshua is going to be a pay-per-view card. Now, for me, that's not a surprise. I've been saying this on my channel for several months. I think to a lot of boxing fans, this isn't a surprise whatsoever. I mean, realistically, we could see this coming. We knew it was always going to be the case. However, it seems to have caused some uproar amongst the boxing community. I had one or two channels comments on my channel saying something to the effect of, "This is a British title fight, since when did that become pay-per-view?" But in my opinion, and I try and be even-handed with these things, in my opinion, this isn't actually a bad night of pay-per-view boxing. Now, hear me out on this before you just start cutting into me. Bear in mind that I am somebody who has played both sides of the table here. Relatively recently, as sort of 4-6 weeks ago, I did a video saying that I would not be buying a pay-per-view headlined by Kell versus Diego Chavez, and urging people not to buy that pay-per-view. I'm not someone who's a pay-per-view sucker. I'm not someone who buys every pay-per-view. I'm not someone who's a huge fan of the model. But for me, I think boxing fans, certain boxing fans, are missing the commercial realities of boxing here. We're in an era where there are multiple weight divisions, and each weight division has 4 recognised world titles. So we're talking about a huge amount of world champions who are in existence. And let's be honest, there are world champions we could all name here who are not in the top 5, not in the top 10 of their respective divisions. You know, there are, what I'm getting at is there's so many different divisions, there's so many different title belts, but being a world title holder is actually, in my opinion, far less of an achievement than it would have been multiple years ago. And for me, the presence of a world title doesn't really inspire me or interest me, even less so if it's a, not a competitive fight. For example, we all know that Liam Smith is fighting an opponent. Is his name Jimmy Kelly in December? That is for a world title. But the fight doesn't interest me. It really doesn't interest me. Liam Smith, he's a good solid operator. Nothing against Liam Smith. But at this stage, it's hard to class him at the top of the light middleweight division based on the opponents he's been in with compared to some of the guys out there. The opponent looks uninspiring. Doesn't look like he's going to be a tough challenge whatsoever. It's just a hard fight to get excited about. Now, obviously, that fight's not pay-per-view, and no one's saying it would be. But for me, what makes a pay-per-view event is, firstly, how big an event it is, and secondly, the sort of public interest behind it. And for me, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, whilst it's for a British title fight, let's forget about the titles. The fight itself is a fight that is going to generate interest and intrigue well and above most world title fights. You know, look at the world title challengers Matchroom have got. McDonnell, Quigg, DeGale. You know, all of these guys are excellent fighters, arguably better fighters than Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. But let's be honest, these guys are in the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua is a Olympic gold medalist. There's a huge history there. There's bad blood. It's a very sellable fight. This fight is going to generate immense public interest. And to top it off, you've got what appears to be a pretty special undercard. Sorry, that's my phone going. You've got Spike O'Sullivan versus Chris Eubank Jr., which is another fight that is going to generate interest and generate storyline above and beyond a lot of world title fights. Now, again, you're looking at 2 fighters who are at the early stage of their careers there. But it's not just them on the bill. You know, there's going to be other star power there. I heard the likes of Kevin Mitchell, Luke Campbell are going to be on this bill. I won't mention Tony Bellew when I'm talking pay-per-view, but yeah, there are other names on this card. And for me, I've even heard, there was even rumour, was it Derek Chisora? Some people were saying Paulie Malignaggi. Some people were even saying David Haye's going to appear on the bill. My point is, this is an excellent night's worth of boxing, and we can get hung up to the cows come home about, is this for a British title? Is this for a world title? But for me, this is a special night of boxing. This is a night of boxing I am looking forward to. This is a night of boxing that is giving me that feeling in my stomach. This is a night of boxing that I think is going to be full of entertainment. I mean, Spike O'Sullivan, Eubank Jr., what a fight that's going to be. Dillian Whyte, Anthony Joshua, it's going to have us all on the edge of our seats. We know it. So what I don't get is, why would you be down on this bill and yet be up on the Kelbrook Diego Chavez bill? You could argue that neither of them are pay-per-views, and yeah, you could argue that. But for me, the presence of a world title does not make it pay-per-view any more or less these days. What is a world title? We're in an era now where world champions would walk down the street and most people wouldn't even know who they were. My friends who are sports fans, who are loosely into boxing, they wouldn't know Scott Quigg. They wouldn't know Jamie McDonnell. They wouldn't know Terry Flanagan. They wouldn't know Liam Smith if these guys walked past them. It's a commercial sport. It's a business. And Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, is probably second only to Carl Frost and Amir Khan in terms of the recognition he gets from the UK public. I see Anthony Joshua as a more well-known figure now than the likes of Kell Brook, than the likes of James DeGale. My opinion, you could have a different opinion, but this is a commercial business, and this is an excellent night of boxing, and I, for one, am not surprised this is pay-per-view, and to be honest, when I sit down on December the 12th, I won't feel robbed, because I will put over my, is it $16.99 it is these days, I will put that over, and I'll sit down and I will really, really, really be excited and very much enjoy my night of boxing. Look, there's a whole argument we could go on here about the fact that we already pay our Sky subscriptions and enough is enough. But there is an argument, and it's an argument that Eddie Hearn makes, that certain cards could not be made without pay-per-view because of the revenue stream. Now, what they could probably do is do Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, and then Spike O'Sullivan versus Eubank Jr. on another card, and then Kevin Mitchell and Luke Campbell on a third card, and that would strengthen the Saturday night shows. I get that, but it's not business, and I think from a fan perspective, the entertainment here is worth $16.99, you know how much it costs. Like, I don't want to. My opinion on this, just going into a bit more detail. I took Mrs. Gossip to see the new James Bond movie 2 weeks ago. By the time I'd bought 2 tickets to see James Bond at a cinema in London, I think I got mugged off into buying 2 buckets of popcorn as well, maybe a Diet Coke. You know how much that comes to. That comes to enough to buy 2 of these pay-per-views, easily. It's just, for me, if you compare and contrast the entertainment you're getting from that compared to Joshua Whyte, Eubank, you're getting all sorts of value for it in that sense. Look, I know this is a very divisive issue, and I know a lot of people won't like my opinion here. Fundamentally, it comes down to people not wanting to part with their money, and people thinking that Eddie Hearn's just trying to rip people off. And yeah, I get that, but as a boxing fan, it's nights like these that I look forward to. And whilst we must draw a line in the sand somewhere, I think Kelbrook Chavez was that place to raise a protest. And I actually think Joshua, Whyte, Eubank, Spike O'Sullivan, Kevin Mitchell, Luke Campbell, and the others we're going to get on this bill as a standalone event. For me, that's enough not to quibble here. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me, please let me know. If you disagree, I'm sorry, let me know anyway. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video.